Fox News Alert here. President Biden sending more troops to Eastern Europe as Russia's military builds up forces along the Ukraine border. Welcome to a brand new hour of America's Newsroom. I'm Dana Perino.
I'm Bill Hemmer. How you feeling?
Great. How are you?
All right, hour two. Here we go.
Got some
right?
news here.
Thousands of additional U.S. troops about to get their marching orders as the Pentagon gets ready to respond to possible military action by Russia. Peter Doocy, straight to the North Lawn of the White House. What have you learned about this, Peter? Good morning there as we begin a new hour.
Good morning. For several weeks now, officials around here have been saying they think a Russian invasion of Ukraine is imminent, but it was just talk until this morning because the commander-in-chief is actually doing something about it. It's a big story because it's a big number. 3,000 more U.S. troops heading to Eastern Europe. We are told most likely to Poland and Romania. And this is on top of the 8,500 U.S. troops that have been given ready to deploy orders as part of a NATO agreement, where basically if NATO decides that they need to go in and show some more force, they would be part of that group. So more than 11,500 troops now committed to this effort. And I have been speaking to some senior administration officials. This is what I'm told so far. At the president's direction and following Secretary Austin's recommendation, the Department of Defense will reposition certain Europe-based units further east, forward deploy additional U.S.-based units to Europe, and maintain the heightened state of readiness of response forces to meet these commitments. These forces are not going to fight in Ukraine. They are not permanent moves. They respond to current conditions. I am also told that this is going to be a mix of adjusting the posture of troops already in Europe and then some new deployments from the U.S. to supplement existing reassurance presences. This is all temporary and nothing to Ukraine. And we are also told that the U.S. troops are going to be coming from Fort Bragg. They'll be deploying from Fort Bragg, and that we are going to get some more details at a Pentagon briefing with John Kirby that should begin any minute.
Yeah, it looks like that has started. But Peter, I did want to ask you something. That, you know, this is a week when George Packer, the journalist, has written a very long piece detailing the withdrawal from Afghanistan. It is quite damning for the administration. How much is that thinking about and that criticism going into this decision on how to handle this foreign policy crisis?
We'll see. And we know that they have been very they've been trying to get ahead of stories about Americans being left behind in Ukraine, which is something that they really we know that they did not do when it came to Americans being left behind in Afghanistan. But this is a big move, and the president does not have anything on his schedule right now, but we hope to get some more insight, maybe what he learned from the Afghanistan disaster, and how he's applying that to this order, which is the biggest one in terms of military moves in several months.
And I would just add to that, Peter, what they learned from 7 years ago in 2014, right, when Putin went in and took Crimea. And the response then was to send 5,000 troops to Poland after it happened. This seems to be a little more proactive than that.
Yes, and just for everybody that's watching and concerned about this, obviously it is a very serious situation in Eastern Europe right now, but they are very clear. These troops are not going to be in Ukraine. They're going to be all around. They are going to be responding to whatever happens, which officials here insist once it's cold enough for tanks to roll over frozen ground, it's going to be a Russian invasion. But they are not going to be on the Russia-Ukraine border on the Ukraine side shooting at Russian guys.
Correct.
They are going to be in neighboring countries in Eastern Europe.
Okay.
You know, interesting, Peter, Vladimir Putin had not spoken about this issue in many months. All of this diplomacy action is happening by the Biden administration and NATO. It's interesting because now I sort of feel like something has happened to make Putin actually finally start to say something.
And something else, if this move does signal that a Russian invasion is imminent, as officials at the Biden White House say, then that means the president missed an opportunity to do what a lot of foreign policy experts were calling on him to do, which is sanction Putin first, because as they say, once he gets into Ukraine, that's a lot harder to do.